The world is at crossroads as far as the safety and well-being of our ecosystem is concerned. With rampant urbanization, environmental degradation, and grave consequences of climate change, an overall path correction has become imperative to the existence of all living forms on Earth. Should we continue with the abuse of our precious natural resources? Should we use technology and innovation to conserve them? Can we reduce energy usage with a mindful approach and renewable sources? Dr. Prem Jain anticipated many such challenges we are facing today way back in the 70s. Over half a century of dedication and tireless efforts, he thought and spoke a language that was way ahead of its time. His passion and commitment to his Janmabhoomi and to his own mother ran equally deep.
From my earliest childhood, it's been ingrained with me that truth will always win, what we call Satyamev Jayate. She also gave us the love for all living creatures, trees and plants, the message of non-violence. And ever since my childhood, I've always respected that all life forms are equally important.
The last 10 years saw the culmination of his efforts by remarkably shaping the green movement in India, and his countless admirers began to refer to him as father of green buildings in India. The green revolution he started is the foundation of his legacy. In 2018, Prem Jain Memorial Trust was conceived to carry on his mission and founded upon his values, ideals and vision of a greener Bharat. Today, the Trust enjoys guidance of the best minds of the industry, champions of sustainability, corporate change makers and academicians. PJMT is set on its journey to create, establish and maintain sustainability directions through education, recognition and rewards that nurture future generations.
The best gift you can give to the person is educate him or her. Because then, wherever they are, they will be able to earn and flourish in life.
Each year begins with the Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav, a week-long celebration of sustainability, and our annual flagship event, Prem Jain Memorial Address. The Trust organizes a spectrum of green initiatives which fill the week of January 26, Dr. Jain's birthday week. The Mahotsav is celebrated across the country with immense enthusiasm by Green Crusaders and our partner institutions through an array of sustainability-driven initiatives and activities. Having deep roots with Indian Green Building Council, the Trust has worked in tandem with IGBC and its chapters. PJMT takes great pride in partnering with esteemed partner societies, corporate leaders and premier universities across India, working closely with the common mission of creating a greener earth through the year. The Trust is a catalyst for sustainable research and development, sharing innovations and creating a global platform for exchange of thoughts and ideas to nurture future green ambassadors. PJMT has organized more than 300 green initiatives during Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav in association with its esteemed partner societies, corporates and institutions across India, and arranged over 300 online sessions by distinguished speakers and industry change makers on sustainable built environment with participation of more than 5,000 students and working professionals. At this edition of Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav, we invite you to join this green revolution, to build a brighter tomorrow and change the world we will leave behind for our children. If we can change the way we think about buildings, maybe what we build will change the world.
Great. Thank you so much, Yatin, for that short film. It will help some of the newcomers to know what the Premjay Memorial Trust has been doing the last 4 years. Good evening and namaste to all of you once again. Thank you for making time to be here. I will keep this brief. We have some wonderful people who have joined in as participants. We have Niranjan Khatri, an old war horse and veteran of green buildings, very passionate man. We have, we also have Upendra Radul from Surat, who is a limnologist, a person who works on the chemistry, on the science of water. And he has been listening in to many of these things, and I'm sure he will offer some perspectives and insights as we go along today. We have Usha Kini from Bangalore, many others here. Education is something that has been obsessing me also personally for a few months now. I would say maybe 18 months, 20 months, because I'm beginning to see that change the way we want, whether it is to do with water efficiency in our buildings and apartments and IT parks and hotels and homes and whatever else that we inhabit as spaces, cannot be brought by people who are still dogmatic about not understanding what such efficiencies can bring. Every week, if not by the day, I meet people who are CFOs, who are people who are directors, board members in companies, who are saying, well, I don't understand any of these things. I don't see why I should be wasting money on these things, right? People are not beginning to see that there are solutions today for every one of these things, whether it's energy or water or waste or air management, even construction materials that are very competitive and offer returns, you won't believe it, offer IRRs of 25% and more on simple solutions that bring benefits to the water user or the energy user, as well softens or enlarges the ecological footprint for people, right? Now, I don't want to say any more, as I said. We have today a very distinguished person in his own ways. He has consulted for 13 universities across West Asia and Far East from India. And he is right now the advisor to higher education for Karnataka. He's been working with the Minister for Higher Education here and the Principal Secretary for Higher Education. He is officially a consultant for the Department of Technical Education of the Government of Karnataka. And he has never looked to earn monies. He's no more than 50, but his enormous commitment to try and see how you can bring change in the curriculum for education has been very inspiring. I had a meeting with him and a couple of members of something called the IUCEE. Some of you who are listening in might want to check this out, who are also in the space to try and see how they can convert young professionals into sustainability professionals. And let's listen to Arun Sitaram for maybe the next 15, 20 minutes. And then after that, we will invite two of these people here, Dr. Gayatri and Professor Dogra, to try and see if they can add some insights in a discussion as panelists. I'm not going to introduce these three people to you. You will see their profiles coming up on the chat box very soon, and that will give you an idea of what they have represented in the past and what they are directing into the future. Over to you, Arun Sitaram. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on the meet at the Prem Jain Memorial Trust initiative that you're taking for green. I think the reason why I said I will definitely be interested is, I think, like you rightly said, it's now time that we have to move beyond corporate and get it into education, because to bring in behavioral change, education is very, very critical. And students at a young age can be influenced to think differently than people who already passed their prime and got into spaces where they think existing formulas and systems will still survive and stay. But I think that has changed post-pandemic. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of people have had time to think. So on the one side, when people think it's bad, the other side, I think it's also helped a lot of people think and contemplate. But for me, critically, where I look at is that in the curriculum space, moving away from traditional understanding of chapters and concepts to actually coming up and saying, okay, where do I apply this and how do I make sure that I can achieve or solve a problem that is staring at me? I've always asked this question to most of the people that I have been working for the last 18 months, where I'm looking at revamping technical education in Karnataka. and the foundation of which is the diploma education. Due to the pandemic, a lot of people were very upset of what didn't happen to them or happened to them in and around, and were convenient in blaming the medical fraternity and saying that this is what the problem is all about. But I think, how many times have we as engineers taken responsibility for something that's not worked? So if something in healthcare hasn't worked, doctors are responsible. But where a problem of waste or energy or any other matters are put up, it's suddenly the responsibility of the government, and engineers are not responsible. But it's just the amount of information vacuum, or their inability to explore beyond what they already know, is what I've been finding is missing right now. And which is why a lot of things that Hari has been mentioning right now is going overboard, even for faculty. A lot of faculty themselves can't contemplate that sustainability today is actually part and parcel of daily life. Sustainability has replaced value engineering to a large extent, and is now a critical part of value engineering. When they say, I'm actually taking care of a building, creating a shed, or doing whatever that I'm doing, and ensuring that I am saving costs or I'm enhancing profitability. It's just that these things are not being seen, but are happening around. So I don't agree that we have to really go and justify. I think if they want to save cost, they have to look at sustainable solutions. And without that, they cannot do it. And now a lot of people, I think, thanks to quite a few defense analysts and understanding coming in, life cycle analysis has become a stay today in the world. And when we really do life cycle analysis, you will really understand that sustainable solutions are not something which is the responsibility of environmental engineers. Young students today say that the responsibility of anything of such sort is an environmental engineering job or an activist job. It's not my job. I just have to provide lip service, and after that, I'm done. But if I'm a civil engineer who's going to be building the next few buildings, and if I am not able to bring that change, then what's the use of me being a civil engineering at all, is the question mark that a lot of people are being asked for. Digital transformation has happened. If you don't, technology will take over, and efficiencies will anyway come in. So it's also an existential issue for a lot of people in civil engineering, and not just in civil, across the board, even in policy. Companies can no longer say, I will not have a sustainability policy, because then you as an organization itself are not going to survive. So is that the end of it, that engineers only are responsible, right? Outside environmental engineering, I'm saying engineers are responsible, but is it only engineers' responsibility? No, it's the responsibility of designers too. People who bring in ergonomics. Why do we need ergonomics in place? It's not just to say comfort of human lives, or people who have to live comfortably, or whatever you have is comfortable to me, but at what cost? I think that is what is something that a lot of people are asking. Commerce students who are looking into finance and accountancy are asking, how do I optimize? How do I bring in value? What is the value I'm getting at the end of the day for making these investments? Those things have all changed. And life cycle analysis, like I said, has also brought in a lot of people to think about and say, how is it that it's really making sense? The IT industry is already talking about managing credits, reducing carbon, and whatever is as their sales mantra. It's no longer something that they're going to say, I'm doing it because it's a CSR of mine, but they're saying, we are bringing in technology so that we will enable you to reduce carbon, because we are automating quite a few things. So these things have changed. And a lot of people on the social side have also talked about behavioral change. But behavioral change is very difficult if it's not part of my learning process. So it's very important that sustainability is made part of our learning system, is made part of every course, whether it's an art student, a science student, a commerce student, or an engineering student, to understand that this is what is value engineering that you will have to do. Whether you're designing an apartment, you're designing a next convention hall, you're building a new warehouse, all these aspects are very, very, very critical, and sustainability has a role to play. And it's not an environmental engineer's job, and it's not United Nations job to understand and address this. A lot of people we spoke to, young ones, said, what is the proof that climate change is really happening? So the best example I gave was, recently I was in Shimla. Shimla was actually at 25 degrees when I went there, and Bangalore was 23 degrees. Well, Chennai was nearly 25 itself. So if Shimla and Chennai had the same temperatures, if that is not climate change, I don't understand what is climate change then. So I think these are some of the day-to-day things that students have to understand. And students are also great change makers if they start believing in it. And that is what curriculums have to do. Today, even though the Honorable Supreme Court has made it compulsory that everybody has to study the environmental sustainability as a course, in most of the curriculum systems, if you really look at it, how it's been implemented, it's just provided as an audit course. You just have to do it because the Supreme Court has said. But even if you don't do it very well, nobody cares. And if curriculum is going to tell that to them, then what kind of impressions will these young minds have when they come out of these programs and say, environmental sustainability is not for us. It's just basically something that is imposed on us for us to know. It's not for us to live in that world. So they have all the right to come back and ask, is climate change real? When they really not spend time studying why sustainability is so critical. Follies are in our curriculum system, and also in the way that we're assessing our students. How are our students being assessed for? It's basically saying how many concepts have you understood, not based on how many of these concepts are really applicable to me. What are these that I can apply in my day-to-day life that I can really make an impact or a difference, right? So I asked a few students in a class when we were working on revamping our curriculum. I asked a few alumni saying that, what do you think we should do to see that these things are sustainable? They didn't have an answer. They said, Adella namu gottilla sir, we don't know what that is. But yeah, that's a responsibility. Environmental students who study environmental civil engineering will be able to answer that question. So it's somehow conveniently not everybody's responsibility or every student and every faculty's responsibility, but it's only the responsibility of either the environmental activist or people who are studying environmental engineering. So when you ask them simple questions that say, how is it that you can really save this? Or what is it that you can do? Or are you contributing to bring in this kind of change to make sure that the world is safer in the next few years coming in, irrespective of the kind of pollution we're living with or any other parameters that are impacting our environment? The answer is no. And also the other major problem with Gen Z that we are seeing is the way they learn is very different from the way we all used to learn. They like learning from gaming. They like learning from something on the computer. They like something with tech. So when, as part of CEC IUCN, I was working on developing a global strategy on education of conservation, every traditional conservation person said, they should go around, a kind of a forest and see what exactly they're missing. I said, yeah, how would some kid in Bangalore go all the way to find a forest, see there and get an experience? And what will people tell him? What is flora and fauna available there? When he's thought that all this has to be just learned and reproduced in an examination and I know everything about it. But what am I doing about it is not something that is being questioned for me. So why should I bother? And then we said these people to understand need technology tools so that these people understand through games what is happening, what will be the consequences of these things that happen if ignored, and how is it that it can actually be implemented in so simple ways as you just taking responsibility for it. So if each student is made responsible for one parameter, I think there can be a paradigm shift in the way sustainability is thought as well as implemented in most of these things. Sad part is that curriculums don't change because they're all driven by traditional faculty and traditional people. And unless institutions and universities can do it, it's not going to happen. The new education policy that's come up provides enough and more scope for this to be included and implemented because it focuses on multidisciplinary approaches. So when somebody looks at sustainability, it's not about environment, it's about commerce, it's about science, it's about business, it's about technology, it's about art, it's about design, it's about architecture, it's about everything. It is not just about environmental engineering. And I think that is the message that has to go to every single student to say, if I'm designing something, if I'm transacting something, what is it that I'm actually contributing to, either positively towards sustainability or negatively towards sustainability? And I think that is what is very, very critical. And that's my point I'm trying to put forward. And I see a lot of academicians here. So I just want to see that you guys take up the responsibility to join me and put these curriculum thoughts into people who really frame curriculums in the future. And this national education policy has provided that framework for all of us to contribute and make and bring that difference into these programs and influence young minds to think sustainability, in anything they do, both personally as well as in their professional lives. So I just thought I'll share these thoughts with you. What am
It's
I doing
wonderful.
personally? I am doing personally as well. In part of our programs, we are including these and saying it is compulsory. You've got to study. There's no way you're going to get out of it. There is resistance, but we know we will win in the end. So this is my only humble prayer through this platform, that help us make this change. And I'll be glad to help in any way possible to influence any of these people to really relook and ensure sustainability is part of every single curriculum across the stream of education that's there.
Sure. Thank you, Arun, for a very lucid, as usual, presentation of your share of your thoughts. But before you invite these leaders from academia to speak, Dr. Sarika Jain is here, Dr. Gayatri is here, we have Puneet Dogra also. What you could do is tell them of how in the last 2 years you have brought in implementation at the Department of Technical Education for what is more challenging of the diploma engineering program that you have now addressed, and what changes you're bringing in the curriculum. For example, when you say, do we do curriculum? When you ask, do we do curriculum mechanically without real content that teachers offer? I'm sure you have done some thinking, and I know that some parts of it because we have been in a discussion, but maybe you share that with them before you ask them for their thoughts and insights.
True. When we started looking at reforming technical education, the first thing that the Vision Group said was, can we really start at the foundation? And that's when we started with the diploma education. So what we did was, we first looked at the whole structure. The structure itself was built in such a way that students were prepared to write exams, not understand anything, but just prepared enough to write exams. That's it. They don't care whether the student has understood. They don't care whether the student appreciates what has been taught to them, or they don't care if the student knows how to apply it or not. They are just being blindly prepared for an examination which tests their recall for 10 or 12 chapters. So the first thing we did was kill that. We said, remove chapters. Let's look at 12 concepts. If the student learns 12 concepts, and those concepts are known how to be applied using a use case in engineering. This is another sad part I have to tell you, right? I have been searching everywhere to get use cases in engineering. Use cases are available in businesses. They say, the moment I say, sir, do you have a use case in engineering? Adella business it is not meant for us. That means it's all meant for business students. It's not meant for engineers. I said, how ridiculous is this? Engineers are the one who has to learn from example. Engineers are the one who learns from practice. Engineers are the people who see what went right and wrong. So we said the first major change we need to do is bring in people's understanding for concepts and applying those concepts in that. The second key area we said is remove this whole business of electives. The electives actually don't make sense, because when curriculum designers sit to write electives, they say student will get a peek into what is actually that new area or new domain that is coming in right now. But students don't take it like that. Students take an elective to say, boss, they'll go and ask the senior, which is the easiest subject to take, where I'll get the highest of marks with least of attendance problems and least of effort that I have to do. Because I'm using that as a law of averages. Because if I get 95 in the elective, my other marks will automatically jump, because my law of averages will improve the rest of my overall score. So we removed the whole elective and said, no, we want you to specialize in one particular area. So when we went into civil engineering, and the moment we said specialized areas, we got all the traditional statements of PWD and others which came. And we said, no, we want to see exactly how is it that somebody can create a sustainable building. Somebody can build a sustainable road that can be maintained, managed, and has a long-term life cycle advantage. So can we look at some of, so this is how we made those translations into action in these places. We're not saying we're going to achieve it. And one of the biggest advantages we had was the Honorable Minister said, let's walk the talk. We don't want to build a curriculum and then think whether it will be implemented. He said, every year as the curriculum is built, just keep implementing it. If it is requiring a change, next year we'll look at another change, but let's do it. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. So that's how we've been able to achieve these three important things of structure, of concepts, and of specialization, to make sure that students really know how to apply knowledge that they have learned.
Can you tell them one more thing? You have been speaking to students, and students have expressed a lot of extreme dissatisfaction on how lecturers and teachers simply don't have the experience to back what they are teaching them. Can you explain that to the others? After which we can ask the academia leaders also to speak.
So one of the major things when we talk to a lot of students, I mean, especially recent alumni, right? So we said, okay, now that you've passed out, you've just joined industry, are you seeing some of these changes? And then have you come back and asked your faculty and told them what is it that you've actually been doing? You're doing it right or you're doing it wrong? Over 90% of them, I'm not exaggerating, over 90% of them and came back and said, sir, sir, he doesn't know anything, sir.
No, you have to, yeah.
Whatever he taught me had no value, sir. The world works in a different way. He lives in a different world, I think, sir. So I have not understood anything what he said. Now I'm relearning everything that he has said. And when we go back to the faculty and say, look, this is what the students are saying. He says, no, sir, when I studied MTech, that time we studied this. This time we are studying this because this is the textbook we have. And I'm following this textbook that was published in 1992, whose recent edition was 1998. And it is still part of the curriculum because I'm supposed to teach this for the examination. So neither the students are able to appreciate what they have been given, and nor are the faculty interested to make that change and say, no, what I'm teaching is actually not relevant. The world has moved forward. And when we asked specific questions, especially with a lot of civil engineering faculty that we asked, so we said, do you understand the impact that you can create on actual sustainable goals that we have to achieve? First of all, nobody knew what are sustainable goals.
Right.
So these were some of the challenges I think we need to really look at faculty, and we have to bring in that revolution with faculty.
Sure. Sure. Let me acknowledge the presence of Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora also, who is the National President of the IPA, as well as the National Chair today for the Indian Green Building Council. But before I get him to speak, let him listen to the other three panelists here. Let me start with Dr. Gayatri Aditya. You have, for the last at least 3 years, and that I have seen you with various interactions, seeking to bring that change first in your faculty. And your faculty has resisted, Dr. Gayatri. You know that, Gayatri. Now, how do you bring that change first in the faculty itself, or how they will take such learning in a way that they can share experiences and not simply teach concepts, as Arun is saying? Gayatri, your turn.
Yeah, first of all,
you can be candid about it.
Yes, I very well resonate with Mr. Arun, the way he spoke, exactly point to point every day, which we experience. Very true. So as Dr. Hariharan was mentioning, I have people in my group, in the same fraternity, who says, oh, why do I need to think about it? As a designer, why should I bother about the green part of it? It's somebody else's job, right? So where do we start? So it's like, I want to take my example where first, I have some trash in the home. I need to just put it out. I'm least bothered about what happens after that, right? So that small thought of what after that, I think will help every individual to start thinking, be it a student or from the kid. Maybe probably this is the question we should ask. Okay, this has gone out. Okay, what after? What is the next? And similarly, like what we teach, the life cycle assessment, embodied energy, which we talk in buildings or for anything, especially like I heard in UK, any product manufacturer should really worry about how the product's end life, as in after the life of the product is over, how they're going to dispose it is the responsibility of the manufacturer, right? Somewhere these kind of maybe our mentality is to work on penalties and things like that. Maybe probably somewhere if we have to start setting that in for the individual. I'm talking in general, starting from a student or engineer or architect or designer, a faculty, any fraternity for that matter.
Yeah. Gayatri, I'll remind you of that meeting we had with some of your students, where one of your architecture students stood up. I think she was a third or fourth semester student, and said, well, if I am going to be an architect, why should I learn about water management or energy management? How do you convince first your faculty and then your students of what Arun called transdisciplinary education? How do you do that as the dean of your college?
Well, yeah. So somewhere that mindset change, which I'm talking about, that attitude change, which we were discussing last time also. So that has to come in, right? So that those trigger points, maybe they should start feeling from inside, no matter how much we push from outside. So it's just like, as he was mentioning, I very well remember about the example of Hyderabad, where I have one small house, and rainwater harvesting is mandatory as per the government. People just dig a hole and put some stones and call that as rainwater harvesting. Nobody bothers about how it functions, including, okay,
I agree with
forget
you.
about mason comes there and tells that I can do it. Who doesn't know anything about it, he's ready to do it. And the owner also is ready.
Guys, I again take you back to education, because we know all the vile sides of such things that are happening outside in the real world, right?
Right.
However, if I were to, take the Council of Architecture, in fact, Mr. Gurmeet Singh is going to talk about the slight shifts and changes that the COA is willing to make, and that will impact colleges or schools of architecture like yours. Now, in your interactions with the Council of Architecture, have they been encouraging on things that you want to teach your students, whether it's in urban planning or in architecture, which are beyond the curriculum and the credits that students have to get? What has been the response of the COA?
COA is definitely looking into it, the green initiatives and green being part of our curriculum. So, but the 2-3 tier system which we have, where COA is the apex body, but we have a university in between, right? And we have our institute. So when it has to percolate through all this and finally reach to the student, yes, there are certain glitches, no doubt about that, which has to be looked into in line with all these things.
You are saying the COA is receptive.
Yes.
You will hear soon our Mr. Gurmeet Singh speak. He's saying that the AICTE, which of course all the technical universities are governed by, is also open to change just now. You will hear him say that. But before we invite him, can I request Sarika Agarwal to speak up, please? Your thoughts, the questions. Now go on, Gayatri, you want to say something? Yes.
One example which I give, no offense to anybody here, and Mr. Arun would be knowing this. So last year, AICTE has come out with, inculcating this new education policy, said that engineering doesn't need maths, physics, chemistry as mandatory subjects, right? So, and the first draft was released. Within no time, they put a clause, an asterisk underneath saying that, no, it is left, okay, this clause still remains same, but underneath there's a university should be taking a call on that. But the universities, they don't accept, they still say maths, physics is mandatory. So where is this actually going, right? The
very good.
We talk of all these things at the broad level, and all this is very good. But when it comes to the common person, the student who has to take this, I really don't see any benefit. We are still stuck with that old school or conservative thoughts.
Ma'am,
wonderful. I'm glad you brought it up. Yes, sir. Please. Yes, sir.
Whether it's AICTE or it's COA, okay, all of them don't care what you teach. Okay, they just tell you that we need to make sure that you're meeting with certain set regulations. Beyond the regulations, they don't care what you teach, right? One. Second, I got thrown this AICTE 100 times. I've kicked all of those guys outside to say, show me where it is written, right? I told a simple example. If I knife somebody, if I murder it, CRPC section so-and-so applies to me. If I don't teach a course, show me in AICTE which section is applied that I'm not teaching a course. There's no such section. AICTE says for a good engineering institution, this is what you require, right? There ends the matter. The curriculum is only a model curriculum. I am telling how does a curriculum look like? I'm showing you a model, but it doesn't mean you got to implement that model. Third, every university comes up with the same story because they say, I don't know what to do with my maths faculty, so I'll keep the paper. Now it's up to the college to go back and say, look, we don't care what you think. We don't want mathematics, because why that came in was, sorry, I was one of the architects of that petition that went in, okay? We said, if you're teaching mathematics, why should mathematics be taught separately and then design taught separately when mathematics is included in design?
Right.
You understand? So why should I study math separately for some stupid problems when I know it's already in this subject?
Got it, Arun.
So
Arun, let us
run,
listen, Arun.
On these areas of what you can do. So I'm giving you a solution of what you can work on those solutions and say we are covering it like this. Don't enforce it on us. That's what you can do with the university.
Okay. Sarika Jain, as the dean of a college in Lucknow, do you want to respond to both of them?
Yeah. So.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, myself, Sarika. So not in Lucknow, I am in Dehradun. So just to correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So very interesting, like when we are talking about the curriculum, and I'm going through the same phase these days. I'm on the verge of conducting the board of studies and preparing the syllabus for many subjects and including the subjects. So I'm having the meetings on the daily basis and all. So like, yes, I completely understand about the importance of doing in integrating the subjects basically in the curriculum. But where we are going, as we are saying, as Gayatri also said about making compulsory physics, chemistry and maths, and then again, it's not there. So this is what I have also a concern, not only with AICT or engineering, but with the architecture subjects also, that where are we going in architecture? This is a major concern for us. It was there that maths was mandatory and physics, chemistry was not mandatory. Then again, there was another circular where they said that physics, chemistry, maths is also there, and it has to be mandatory and NATA exam and all this compulsory. So this is a major concern with that. Yes,
so, Sarika, if you have, say, two things to ask of, say, Anil Sahasrabudhe, who is heading AICTE, what would you want to ask of him? I'm asking this question because we have Mr. Gurmeet Singh, who has been in touch with Anilji also. So what are the two things you will want to ask AICTE direct?
So one thing which is like, it really I'm concerned about is that why does a student needs to study all the subjects when like if he's not interested or something like that. Maybe for example, if we have a subject like we are studying architecture, so why do we need to make something mandatory if he has a passion about architecture and learning about the subject, be planning? So why do we need to do that, the mandatory thing? Maybe in arts, when we're talking about multidisciplinary education, so why not an arts student can go into an architecture? That is one thing.
Okay. Second?
Yeah. And when we are talking about multidisciplinary education, so where are we heading towards these credit systems and all? Is it like really compulsory to complete these credits and then get a degree and all? Can we have some kind of the flexible system in the education so that a student is really like based more on the skills, though it is being implemented in NEP, but it's really like, I don't think so. It's such an easy task to do that at like this level. It's because I'm already on the verge of like preparing the syllabuses and all, and we are thinking of having these kind of things skill based and giving the certificates, multiple exits and entry options. But when we come to the university levels, so then these credits and all these things, then it becomes really difficult to implement such kind of things when we think of giving these certificates and making the skill based education the multidisciplinary, because still we are at a very native and we are very naive stage as of now.
Right. Okay. Puneet Dogra, do you want to respond at this juncture or do you want to wait? Puneet Dogra?
Yeah. Hi. So basically, I will take up this in different manner, with different manner. I come from industry, work with ICOM, and have an international and local experience. And I take privilege of having worked with Dr. Prem C. Jain very closely. And I still remember his words that we are building for our kids and their future. We are not doing for ourselves today. So whatever we are doing, it will have an impact over a period of time. And that's what we are seeing. So now yes, please.
No, as an employer, when you find a fresh architect or a fresh engineer walking in for an interview, and you find this person, he or she, not equipped to join your company and be, relevant to the demands that you have inside your company, what is your response to them?
Yeah. So basically, I do agree partially with the panelists what they said, that there should be some amendment in the curriculum system, but the basic engineering knowledge or basic science knowledge is mandatory. Otherwise people don't understand. I am a mechanical engineer. The complete mechanical engineering runs against that heat balance equation. And if they do not understand, they will not have a clue that what it is. When it comes to engineering drawing, yes, an art
Yeah.
person can have an idea that how the engineering drawing or engineering model look like.
Then my question to you, I'm talking to you as an employer. My question to you will be, if they came with a sound understanding of concepts, whether it's civil engineering or electrical or mechanical, and did not have even the faintest of clues and notions on sustainability and what things are about energy management or whatever, all that they did not know, are you still willing to hire such a person?
Okay, now see, if this case could have been about 10 years back, yes, I would say yes. But in today's scenario, I would say no. Because what happens, the things start at grassroots level. And we as an engineer and architect, we drive those things. If we do not understand what sustainability is, then we are not doing justice to ourselves. We are not going to do justice to the industry and to our nation, where in which it's up to that prime minister level who has committed that we will reduce carbon footprint. So that's
fine. But what would you therefore, if let's say you were a teacher today, I mean, in a college of architecture or in a college of engineering, because we have 1 million engineers who are coming out every year, what would you do to change the way you will teach? I mean, given your experience in industry.
So basically, that's what, as I said, it started at grassroots level. So we have to start from the college. Why sustainability is required? Why sustainable solutions are required?
Yeah.
That's to be taught at college, and how, as an engineer and architect, we can enhance the building performances by providing those solutions. Like, for example, when architect design a building, what they'll have to look enhancement of and love. And if we go back, and examples are very simple. Earlier, in ancient days, there never used to be an air conditioner. If you go to any these big palaces, the walls were quite thick, but the temperature which we are attaining with an AC, that was attained without an AC. Cross ventilation. So those are the things which needs to be taught to an architect in a college. And same way when it comes to an engineer, a mechanical or electrical engineer, how it can be improved. So mechanical engineer comes that, okay, how the ventilation needs to improve.
Understood.
Yeah.
Got that. Okay. Now, Gurmeet, before you speak, two more young students are here. One is Divya, one is Bharat Rao. Divya, as a student, would you want to respond to all these older people who have said whatever they want to say? Do you believe they are right? And what is the change you want, Divya?
Good evening, everyone. I am studying in third year BArch, and listening to everybody speaking today about different how we can change the curriculum to make the green initiative better to all the upcoming generation. I would say, firstly, even if there is a change in the curriculum, do you really think the students will really implement all this by just theory and all that? And I actually would like to ask how compared to India, how widespread is this green initiative outside, and how we can pace it up in India?
Let me answer that question before asking anybody else. Please do not think that education in any of the other universities outside the country is any better. I work with Monash University in Melbourne. I work with Carleton University in Ottawa, in Canada. I work with two others. The University in North Carolina, UNC, that is in Chapel Hill, as well as with the City University of New York. And I can tell you that they all have the same challenges as we do here. Resistance from faculty sometimes, resistance from students. The quality of education is not any better. In fact, I would reckon that the quality of education in India, in many of the schools of architecture and design, are far superior at the bachelor's level than it is in other places. If somebody is going outside the country, it's only to see if he or she can get a better prospect as jobs go. I leave that there. Bharat Rao, are you there? Any other thing you want to add, Divya, before I go to Bharat, who is another student? You want to add anything else, Divya?
No, sir.
No. Bharat, do you want to add anything? Are you there?
Yeah,
I
sir.
saw you,
Yeah,
leave. Yes, Bharat, go on.
yeah. As
Please
Divya
add.
said, the curriculum has to be implemented. How it will be implemented, sir? Like first of all, the engineers has to get to know what is green architecture. So how it will be implemented. So they must have seen some buildings, no, sir. They need to get some ideas on it. How will they get like that?
True. What do you want teachers to do, therefore? What do you want them to change in the
Yeah,
way
sir.
they teach you?
As Arun sir said, instead of this elective subject, there has to be a main subject for the environmental science thing. So
Right.
if that is implemented, the students will focus more on that subject as it's also a main subject. Instead of the elective,
Lovely.
if it's selective, they'll be it's an extra subject. If you don't study also, it's okay. We can get some grades on that. So instead
Right.
of that, if it's implemented as a main subject by AICTE or COA, that will help.
Excellent.
Yes.
I'm glad you were attentive. You're right. What Arun sir said about no electives, but as a main subject. In fact, he is doing some such things for diploma engineering in Karnataka, but we'll leave it later. Gurmeet Singh, can I now request you to say hello to the audience? I wanted you to listen to all of them before you speak.
Well, thank
Gurmeet?
you, Hari. Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Thank you. Yes, loud and clear. Thank you for being
Mr.
here.
Arun, members of the faculty, I won't address each one of you. But the fact remains, why is it that small children like Greta Thunberg at the age of 19 and Vinisha Umashankar from Tamil Nadu at the age of 14 speak about sustainability better than many of you on this screen today? We must realize that sustainability has to be ingrained in the future in our children, and whether elective or a normal course, we have to teach a green curriculum and sustainability in every educational institution in this country. It is not about the green building movement, which I lead with Chandrasekhar Hariharan over here. We anyway are the second largest green building council in the world out of 70 countries. We are number one in India with 93% market share. And we will grow bigger, where we have changed from buildings to built environment. And built environment includes villages, includes police stations, it includes interiors, it includes new buildings, existing buildings, commercial, residential, hospital, you name it. It includes every metro station in India certified by IGBC. So what we are doing now is that we are trying to make a change. And Dr. Gopalan, you said, Dr. Gayatri said, is green somebody else's job? You need a mindset change. You need an attitude change. I think we all need an attitude change. We have to push the green quotient, sustainability quotient, wherever we function, wherever we work, and it has to be made into a pull situation. So what we are doing at the IGBC, Indian Green Building Council, which is a subsidiary of CII, is we always had this from last 15 years. We were always pushing. It was a top-bottom approach, approaching builders, approaching government sector, approaching developers and architect designers. But now what I am trying to do is create a pull situation. And how we are doing that is that the Council of Architecture, 480 architectural colleges, will teach sustainability, we have already given them a green curriculum. We have signed an MOU with the All India Council of Technical Education, 9,000 institutes, 15 lakh students passing out every year, 60 lakh students involved. And where we have given a green curriculum, we have committed to teach 2 faculty out of each 9,000 institutes. So whether you teach or no, we will teach those, we will train the trainers to make sure that there is a course available on green and sustainability. Course is already written over the last 6 months and already given to the AICT. So we are looking at a massive pull situation. Now, this is not about green buildings. This is about our future. This is about the future of our children. Because if we do not do something together, members of faculty and Mr. Sitaram, we are in a dire situation in the future. I am not here to make money from you. Chandrasekhar Hariharan has got nothing to gain from this. We are only doing this for the future of our children and their children. And it is the children that are teaching us and telling us that yes, green should be taught. And we are saying, is green somebody else's job? You need a mindset change. I think we need a mindset change. So let us all work together. IGBC is ready to work with you where we want to create, because see, I'll tell you, 5-6 years back, I opened the window to throw a piece of paper out of my car. Okay, I'm telling you candid on this, and it's being taped, it's being recorded. It is my daughter that stopped me. Okay, Papa, you're vice chairman of IGBC Bombay chapter, you can't throw this paper. I have one t-shirt which has 5 holes, and it is the most comfortable to sleep in the night. And my mother has tried to throw it 4-5 times, and now I told her I'm the national chairman of IGBC, you better not throw it. Okay, it's the most comfortable to sleep in. So what I'm trying to convey to all of you is that we have to do something about sustainability. It is not about whether it's an elective course or not. We have to work together. Yes. Yeah.
Gurmeet, can you answer those 2 questions that Sarika Jain raised? That is, her challenge as well as Dr. Gayatri's is, look, if you make, that is to the AICT, if you make certain things mandatory, how do we go past that? To which our Arun Sitaram responded by saying that there is latitude that the AICT offers, and that you can work these things within your own institute of or school of architecture, is what his response was. The second one was on multidisciplinary learning and how credits are impacted or affected. How do you think you can take this up with Anil Shastrabudhe or whoever else in AICTE?
Well, I'm very close to Anil Shastrabudhe because he was the principal of College of Engineering, Pune, where we have a plumbing laboratory, and we worked with him for last 15 years. In fact, we've signed 2 MOUs with him. One is the Indian Plumbing Association, which we signed much earlier. And about 3 weeks back, we signed with them for the green curriculum. So I'll give you my email ID. Okay, I'll type it down over here. You write to me, whatever you want to take up with Anil Shastrabudhe, I will take up for you. But at the same time, we must realize as teachers that certain curriculum is necessary, right? If you're doing engineering, certain subjects are necessary. If you're doing MBA, certain subjects are necessary. So it's not that we can have a latitude on everything that we teach. Something has to be necessary and something has to be optional, elective, which we can look at. And also, I'll tell you that the Council of Architecture is also working. I had a discussion with architect Habib Khan, the chairman of CEI, and Hardeep Singh Puri, the Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, where the Council of Architecture curriculum and teaching will shift from the Educational Ministry to the Ministry of Housing. And he has agreed to that. He has to give a cabinet note so that it is more proactive, and how we can spread the, improve the courses on architecture and imbibe better knowledge to the students. So even that is happening. A lot is happening with this government. I'll send you my email. I'll just type my email ID. You can write to me. Whatever is,
lovely.
I will take it up with Anil Shastrabudhe. No problem.
Great.
In fact, I also agree with Mr. Gurmeet.
Yes.
Basically,
Yes.
Rather than only adding curriculum, we should also look for certain programs where we tie up with the industry and given practical knowledge to the students that what is happening around, like site visits, interaction with the industry, with the design firms, or some institutional activities which are happening. So that's one thing which will also enhance the knowledge of the student, you know.
Can I add
Sure.
something, Puneet?
You know-
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like
Yes,
to
yes.
tell all of you, we have certified Wipro, Infosys, Satyam, now Tech
Very
Mahindra, hospitals. Trust me, the productivity rate in all the software centers has gone up 25%. A green hospital has a recovery rate 20% faster than a normal conventional.
Yes, it's known.
So there
Yes.
are absolute benefits, and green doesn't cost more.
Sure, sure. Gurmeet, let us ask Puneet, since he is now in AECOM. Puneet, one simple question for you. Let us say I am Sarika Jain, or I am, let us say, Dr. Gayatri here at the School of Architecture. My students, if they have to study some of these buildings which are like case exercises, are you willing from AECOM to say, okay, in Bangalore, these are the 3 projects that we have done, and we are willing to see that we give you access to go and study it. Remember also that Arun Sitaram said that he is not securing, I mean, he was speaking on behalf of engineering colleges. Used cases in engineering, he says, are extremely limited. Are you willing to help as an industry leader, Puneet?
See, basically one thing I can tell you, when it comes to going to the buildings, so we do not operate the buildings, but definitely yes, when it comes to educate your given practical knowledge of design, how to make an
Agree.
energy efficient building. So yes,
True.
there we can take certain people into our organization, we can train them, and you know, we can give them vocational training or whatever is required to support the industry. Yes, that's there. That can
All
be
right.
discussed.
Okay. You're all listening to that, many of you faculty members. Arun Sitaram, now I turn back to you after 60 minutes. And after you have heard a cross-section of people from industry, you heard an industry leader like Gurmeet Singh also giving his views on it. What is your take at the end of it? In the next 15 minutes, we must capture from you as well as the other academia leaders, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some interesting questions that we've had, but some of them are repetitive for me, which I have already been asking and answering those questions.
Sure.
I think one thing that is very clear is anything that AICTE mandates, nobody implements. That's a matter of fact. And AICTE puts it up as an MOU on their list, but it never gets implemented. They do a lot of faculty development training because AICTE never controls curriculum. Universities do. The biggest change that we have to bring is to put sense into universities, not AICTE. AICTE is always progressive, always thinks beyond, and provides a broad regulatory framework. Specific to one question that Sarika had raised in terms of creating a credit system for multidisciplinarity, since she is now initiating the Board of Studies, ma'am, my suggestion to you will be 2 things. One, please get Mr. Gurmeet's help and identify who's the local industry person there who can join your Board of Studies to be there. Second, leverage the credit systems for the ABC system that's already there in your thing on the UGC, where you can allow the academic bank credit and allow students to take more credits than what is required as far as the program is concerned. That will address students who are interested in specific subjects, and they can swap those credits. But that's a regulation that you can do yourself if you're autonomous, or you can get approval from the university to do that. At the end of the day, universities control. Neither do AICTE nor COA controls anything. They only provide you with models. The actual people who will put a spoke in the wheel are the universities. So it's important to bring the.
So how do they beat the architect? How do they beat the university, the technical university? If I am Dr. Gayatri and I have to work with VTU, what should I do?
All you need to tell VTU is you are offering 8 credits. I'll take all the 8 credits. I'm giving 15 credits. It's my job. You cannot stop me from doing it. You recognize the 15 credits from my side. Because the Board of Studies is in their control.
Absolutely.
Hari, we have an MOU with VTU. Huh?
Sorry?
We have an MOU with VTU, Hari.
Yeah.
That's right, Gurmeet. But you know what is happening is, see, Gurmeet, the problem has been that when as a dean or as a school that they go as an affiliate member, if they go to VTU, they are raising issues and objections is what we are hearing from many of these affiliate colleges.
Correct.
Gayatri, can you answer this question directly and bluntly and candidly, please? As to what
I'll start with an example, as I was mentioning earlier, So for planners, we
Yeah.
have an urban planning course, and it's the only course we offer in Karnataka under VTU. So where they
Right.
say maths, physics is compulsory, but I really don't see, at least
Right.
in terms of architecture, physics is that stress and bend and all that which architecture students need. But nowhere I see the
Right.
need of planners learning, or having a background in physics. So when we approach them,
Got it. Arun, can you respond to that, Arun? As well as we will ask our Gurmeet Singh also to see if he can speak to VTU. First, Arun, can you respond to her? How do we guide her?
First question is, are you
And
autonomous?
no, we
Yeah.
are affiliated
No.
to VTU.
So you're affiliated to VTU. So
yeah,
the
they're not.
reason is there are two different approaches you can take. If you're autonomous, it's a different approach. If you're an affiliated, it's a different approach. So
Yeah. As an affiliate.
since you're an
Yes,
affiliate,
yes, you are.
since you're an affiliate institution, the one area where you have leverage is to provide work-based training parallel to your course, right? Which VTU cannot stop from doing it. So what you can do is you can charge students separately, offer 6 credits, 6 credits. That means each year you can offer 6 credits. So in 5 years, you would have done 30 credits, which will all be workplace driven courses or workplace driven programs where you can charge and create those courses for yourself and get IGBC or somebody to certify these courses in parallel with these things so that all those concepts are learned in terms of the application of it and its case-based programs. So most of the affiliated institutions like RV and others are following this strategy and saying, and honestly, I'm telling you this, I know it's recorded, don't hold me to this later on. A lot of institutions are saying, boss, in your paper, you take 35. But if you do well in this particular set of courses, industry will hire you. Don't bother much about it. So they are running a parallel system for close to about 30 credits because 30 credits is equivalent to one full semester of study, which is what is required.
Puneet Dogra, you know what he is saying. You might get a student who has got only 37% and he has done 6 or 7 more certification programs. Are you willing to hire such a person, or will your HR guy reject him because he got only under 40%?
So basically what happens when we go to campuses, so we do check their credentials and we do check how the students are doing, and then accordingly we shortlist them. So now when it comes to that, okay, he has 37 credits, but he has professional courses done, but he don't have those credits, so he won't qualify because we have certain prerequisites which we give to colleges.
Correct. Gurmeet, as an influential leader across the country, and like you said, you also have an MOU with VTU. What do you think you can do to help these, ridiculous situations that colleges are having? Gurmeet.
Well, what we can do is work with the college, as Mr. Arun said, also work with the universities to make sure that this green becomes mandatory, basically. So it's not how we can bring about a green curriculum within all the states. Maybe we don't need to go to all the states, but at least the 10 largest states with the highest population of educational institutions like Mumbai University or Bangalore University, and work with them like we have worked with VTU, with the AICT and COA, so that we can take this agenda forward and teach sustainability in all the institutions. So I work with all of them.
What I'm saying right now that I said is what we've done. I've just got Mahidhar to sign an agreement with RV College to run an entire supply chain parallel to the BBA program.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And he's saying whoever completes the supply chain, I'll hire them blindly seeing on the.
You see that, Gurmeet, this Mahidhar is our CII's Institute of Logistics man from Chennai.
Yeah.
Now, about a year ago, I got him to be introduced to Arun Sitaram, but Arun, by virtue of the fact that he was advisor to higher education, he managed to secure this kind of an interface that he has now done with one of the well-known colleges in Bangalore.
Right.
But if the government in any of the other 10 states that you're talking about does not have some inventive thinking people like Arun Sitaram, they will not do this. Now, Sarika is sitting in Dehradun. I don't know if, Sarika, are you an affiliate college or are you in an autonomous institution? Sarika Jain?
Yes. So, sir, right,
No. Okay.
we are actually affiliated institution. Yeah. So we were actually affiliated
Okay.
institution, but recently last year we are like now autonomous and we have developed our own university. We got the approval and now we are the deemed university. So
Simple,
that
you
is
can write your
why,
own curriculum.
Right.
You don't have to be
So-
dependent on anybody.
yeah. So right now, this year when I'm doing the BOS, I have introduced Introduction to Sustainability as a mandatory course, and my school is offering that course to the entire university for all the branches. So this is what I have taken an initiative and done this for the entire university.
Ma'am, my suggestion to you is not to keep it
Arun,
as a
any
single
response
subject,
to that? Yes.
because
Fine.
it will not work. What I suggest you look at is introduce one concept of sustainability in each subject, which is specific to that subject. So in mechanical, have one topic which will be specific to sustainability. In civil, one topic on sustainability and one use case in each of these areas, which will have a bigger impact than providing an introduction to sustainability as a standard course. Because the moment you say course, people will look at examination. But if I have it as a concept, then people will really understand the application of that concept and see how it actually works in math also.
Right.
Right.
You want to respond to that, Sarika? Yes.
Yeah, so yes, I completely agree to that. And I think it also depends that many of the times, most of the faculties are already introducing these concepts whenever they are teaching the courses, whichever is applicable in their own subject. So this is what we are doing in the architecture department and our planning department, where like most of the faculties, whichever course they teach, so they try to introduce that the concept of sustainability, which is applicable. So what recently happened that for the second year students, we were actually like worried about the rainwater and all those kind of things. And we involved most of the students of the campus and try to understand the rainwater harvesting, how we can do and how we can collect the rainwater in our own campus. And it was completely application based, where my faculty is also here who actually led that project, Deepak Shah, and he like motivated the students and they measured each and every building and tried to collect how much the rainwater will be collected. So the students actually got that kind of insight, also the practical aspect, and they are trying to implement those things and doing these things in their own homes also. So we are
And
just
they, do you offer credits for the students for learning this in your college?
yeah. So this was actually like project-based learning, and we are introducing that into the credit system also. That they were giving them incentives of the credit so that they get more motivated to do such kind of things.
Ma'am, my suggestion for you is, since anyway, Gurmeet Singh sir is on the call right now, right? I'm trying to preempt something between you guys, right? So the first thing you should do is please get your board of studies to undergo a training by IGBC or somebody to say, how is sustainability implemented? I had the great advantage, so I kind of conned Hari into doing it for my team. And that really helped me a lot in terms of getting things and making faculty understand and appreciate why sustainability is critical, right?
Sarika, let me tell you, Sandeep Narang is here. He's from the IGBC Delhi chapter. Now, he'll be very happy to help you with, like our Arun Sitaram is saying, with very specific programs that you can take up with certification of some kind or the other. IGBC will provide whatever else. We are all available. You on the chat box, our Gurmeet Singh has been generously, I mean, he has presented given you his ID also, mail ID also. Write to him. Gurmeet is a very, very busy man. But I'll tell you one thing. If you wrote to him and asked him a question, you can be absolutely sure he will take it up at some point with powers that be. Sorry, Arun, you want to say? Go on.
No, I said use that opportunity for really getting the faculty on your side, especially before you start really writing the curriculum. Because the moment you make that as a separate unit as introduction to sustainability, you lose the whole reason and purpose of why you have included that in the curriculum. It should be across the board. So best is get your BOS to undergo this training, and they will be better ambassadors for you for sustainability across the board.
Okay. Well, there is a Q&A, somewhere. I mean, it's a question on, should we stop teaching old books? Of course, you should stop teaching old books. You shouldn't even be asking this question, whoever you are. And let's help the students to adopt it. Take from newspapers today. If let's say you have received 10 mm rainfall last evening, try and tell them, look, what does that 10 mm mean for my city if I'm in Bombay or if I'm in Bangalore or something else? And like Sarika said, teach them little things on rainwater harvest. For every 1,000 square feet in 1 year, if I'm in Dehradun, I should be receiving about 1,200 mm of rainfall. That's 2.2 lakh liters of water that 1,000 square feet can offer you. Teach them these things. Teach them the value of money that is connected to the ecology of things. I think that is all I will say to that question. Last round, we are already at 64 minutes or so. Well, Deepak Shah, do you want to add anything to this? There is another student, Tulika is also here. Do you want to quickly add something before we get to a wrap-up round with these 3-4 people? Deepak?
Yes, very good evening,
Yes.
sir. And this
Yes,
is a
good
really privilege that we got a chance to speak. As our
Lovely.
Dean ma'am also addressed and also said about that the student have done a project here in the university itself, where a student actually came to know about the sustainability and the importance of water that has been wasted, and how it can be utilized for the university itself. And the one thing I would like to add here also, that is if something has been taught, if something we are introducing to students, we should come directly to the student, as Gurmeet sir have also added, like we will be training faculties directly from the university. And sometimes it happens like students know about the sustainability, know about the green and everything related to it, but somehow they are not able to connect directly to it. So I guess if we can do something like doing some workshop directly with the students, so that they could be getting right idea about what sustainability actually is.
Absolutely. That's what Mr. Arun Sitaram also said. Please reach out to Mr. Sandeep Narang. He is there in this group today as among participants. Our people at the Prem Jain Trust will help you reach out to him. Tulika, do you want to add anything to what Deepak has said?
Yeah, very good evening, first of all. So very important thing, you all must are aware what I
No, you have to mute the other system. You've got two systems going. Mute the other one.
Yeah, is it fine?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, sir. The thing which I would like to add when we are talking about sustainability, the
No, you
student
have
should
to.
be more. The student should
be
more aware about the geography and the particular climatology of the area. Then only they are getting the ability to understand the sustainability, how we are going to sustain, because they're not even aware what is the water table, what is the terrain over the area, and just say on the superficial level they're talking about. So
But are you teaching them those things in your college? Are you teaching them?
Of course, I am teaching. Like I have given proposal to my students that they have to give the rainwater harvesting treatment for my campus itself. For that, they have to study completely everything, the climatology, what is the rain pattern, what everything. So when we are talking about environmental science in our curriculum, that is the purpose why we are giving it on the first semester basis, that students are getting a glimpse about it and then getting it implemented. And of course, then various government organizations are there who are dealing with it with collaboration with them. For example, there was one scheme, Jal Shakti scheme by Delhi government. They were fulfilling using the water, how to conserve the water, and rainwater harvesting can be done during the dry seasons. So implementing all these points, we can achieve what we are right now talking about. So this is a short information I wanted to share.
Understood. Wonderful, Tulika. No, very insightful. I am so glad that you're doing these very hands-on programs for your students. This is the kind of teaching that we need. Gurmeet Singh, the last word is yours.
Yeah,
what do you think across the nation we can do from industry to help faculty, students, and universities also, technical universities?
I need to leave after this because 7 o'clock I have to go out with my wife, and that is more important than sustainability, sustaining my
absolutely.
Life.
Yeah,
so, anyway.
Actually, she's the boss anyway.
I'm only pulling your leg, so but I have to leave. So please understand that the Indian Green Building Council is a not-for-profit making organization, and we have you're talking of rainwater harvesting, and we have not spoken of energy, but we now have net zero energy, net zero water, net zero waste, and net zero carbon ratings. The carbon rating is still being formulated. It's in a nascent form, but The fact is that we have lots of projects which are net zero, means you don't need any water from the municipal corporation. Our headquarters in Hyderabad is positive on energy, produces more energy than it can even consume. So having said that, we have moved beyond green, just sustainability and green, where you do not need the municipal corporation, you're a standalone project. And therefore, I think we need to work together with all of you to make sure that we imbibe and teach all these attributes to students in whatever, whether it's elective or it's a mandatory, whatever the course is. But we have to make all students aware, because they are the future. Otherwise, we will not leave behind a future for our children and their children to come. I'll leave you with a few words, ladies and gentlemen, and please listen to me very carefully. You can calculate how rich you are. I'll repeat, you can calculate how rich you are by counting the things you have that money cannot buy. And certainly you will not be able to buy your future or the future of your children unless we do something together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gurmeet, and thanks all of you. Thank you, Arun, Sarika, Gayatri, Puneet, many others who have been present here, Tulika, of course. You know, we know that there are no easy solutions for these things, but we need to only know that we are all together. You heard Gurmeet, we are all in it together. We are willing to help you all. Please write to us at any point in time, either at the Prem Jain Memorial Trust or at the Indian Green Building Council. You can write to Arun Sitaram at sitaram.arun@gmail.com, sitaram.arun@gmail.com. You can write to me, you can write to any of us. Please know that your problem is not yours alone. We are all together. We will see how we fight this. Thank you for these 75 minutes that we have spent together. It's been a wonderful evening for me. There he is. Arun Sitaram has also put it. Look at these people. They're all willing to help you all. Let's fight together. Whatever your small and administrative challenges, whatever with universities and such things are, we are here to help you. That's all I'll say. Thank you. Have a great weekend. And we shall meet you again next edition of the Distinguished Lecture Series of the Prem Jain Memorial Trust. We have done, as the film told you at the beginning, we've done about 300 events and more. We want to clearly see that we work with young Indians, young professionals, and teachers, faculty. It does not matter to us who they are, including students, of course. Thank you so much. We should sign off now. Thanks, Gurmeet, and thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Puneet. Thank you. Thank you.